Hello, this is National Chess Master RRats continuing my video series at chess.com on the correspondence team match played between my video lessons group and the team CARPE DIEM. This one was played on board 147. Our man is Joe5 versus joecent, mid 1600 to low 1500 rating advantage. Let's have a look at this game. It's pretty interesting actually. It's the kind of position that let's see. So the kind of game that could really one could really expand on if they took their time. Black is employing the Latvian counter gambit. It was originally called the Greco counter gambit. Greco was somebody that lived 300, 400, 500 years ago and played it. But the Latvians are the ones that really developed a theory on this, so rightfully so. It's named after them. Now there are a lot of ways that White can handle this opening. In some cases, either side can make some material sacrifices. Like bishop c4, black can sacrifice the exchange, or even white can be sacrificing. Knight takes e5 is a safe, solid approach. Like queen f6 comes in, d4, d6, and the knight goes to c4. And then there's the line that white chose. And studying the Latvian gambit through correspondence chess is a great way to learn it. Anyway, I don't really know the theory on this. But what's going to happen over the next 10 moves is we're going to see both kings staying in the center. Now, this is a risky proposition to keep your king in the center. So, normally you want to play a game where you get your king to safety early, and yet both sides are going to ignore this maxim. And let's see how that plays out as it progresses. And for now, both sides are here at move 6, and both sides are kind of far away from castling. Both sides can't develop their king bishop if they wanted to castle king side. Their queens are blocking. Both sides can't castle queen side because even the queen bishop can't move. So this needs to change. And that changes a little bit. Now both the queen bishops can come out. But Black opts to try to expand, gain some territory here, and kick that knight out and build up a pawn center. Now it's similar in a lot of respects to positions you'll see in the Alekhine defense, of course with colors reversed now. And Black regains his gambit pawn. And so theoretically both sides could castle queenside here very quickly. White could play bishop f4, black could develop his queen knight, then they could both castle. Well, this doesn't happen. I'm not saying that's the best choice. I'm just saying it doesn't happen. But here, black needs to take back with the bishop. Instead, he just gives up a pawn, which white doesn't take. White has a clear advantage if he plays knight takes d5, and it didn't happen. Anyway, white took on e4, and now white gives a check. Now this might have been a good moment for black to stop and simply play queen d7. Okay, and the reason for this is white just cleared room for his bishop to develop. Black should be thinking about the same thing. And if white wants to trade queens, here I'll show you, that develops a black piece. And what I've said in many of these videos, you want to make exchanges which develop your own pieces. Okay. Now, white doesn't have to take the queen. I'm just doing this for illustrative purposes. Black has an isolated e-pawn, but a little more boardroom. White has one piece developed. Well, white can change that with one move, but black should be okay here. So, for instance, if bishop c4, black could play bishop e7, could castle queenside, it's a game of chess. If white doesn't trade the queen, going back to Nimzovich's maxim, don't make exchanges which develop your opponent's pieces, let him make exchanges which develop yours, then logic would say, well, let's go develop this bishop. Okay? And if black takes, then that develops the white bishop, right? And looks like c5 might be in trouble. Okay? So, black needs to come up with a different move here. He can't really take the queen. So let's see. What is white threatening? White's threatening to take this pawn, right? Can black get away with b6? Anchor that pawn in. Okay, now suppose white attacks the queen. Okay, now this whole idea of this move was hopefully for white to trade, but I've shown, well, what's it doing? My board vanished for a split second there. Okay, and it took away my rook d1 move. Okay, rook d1 was doing things last video. I've rebooted the computer since then. Now this is an interesting move. Attacks the queen, and now if takes, take with check. Now knight can't go to d7. Well, yeah, I can go to d7. There's a bishop here. I'm not even seeing it. Knight d7. This steps into a pin, but let's see. Can white get away with any tricks? Huh. Why is it putting the knight back on d7? Please get version 3 here. Okay, g4. Now you can't really. I'm trying to do some tricks here, but where I can somehow deflect the bishop off the diagonal, but it's going to have a tempo on the rook on d1. Okay, so if white castles kingside, black will just, I suppose black. Oh, we got to be careful here. Watch this. Okay, I'm saying black castles queenside. Black could run into trouble here. Bishop f4 threatens a picturesque checkmate, or you can give the check first and drive that king to the corner, and then pile up on that knight again. Now we've got a pin, and the threat is bishop c7. Yeah, that looks good. So let's see, we've got to improve black's game a little bit. I guess black can't castle queenside. But black should have resources. White's knight is not really helping the game, and the bishops are doing a nice job. But it's a game of chess. They fight it out, and both sides have to be careful. But I'm thinking that it would be a good chance for black to try to keep the game level with queen d7, but he didn't play that. He played knight c6. And, here we are, move 11, and once again, both kings are in the center. So logic would say, develop a piece, right? But white decides he wants to develop the piece on this square, but he can't do it right now, so he prepares it with h4. And black could castle, well, I can't really castle queenside because the bishop g5, so black puts the rook on c8. Now queenside castling is out of the picture for black. And here comes the bishop, and now white castles. And there is pressure on c5, so black covers that. And here I would think bishop c4 would be a better square to put this bishop, but he doesn't offer that. He puts it on e2. And now in the positions I was analyzing, that dark squared bishop was better for white than black's was for black. So black's quite happy to get rid of them, and black's close to having an even game here. He just has to get his king out of the center, and here comes some pressure, but that's dealt with. Now there's discovery possibilities, and now at this point, I think white commits a serious error, and black finds the refutation to start, but he doesn't finish. Okay. A3, white's expecting that knight just to go back, but black finds this very clever Zwischenzug. And Zwischenzug is an in-between move. You might want to pause the video and see if you can find it. Okay, you've come back. Did you find the move b5? See, this is a very, very strong move. The white queen is under pressure. Where does it go? The only square it can go to safely on this move is to put it on c3, and it's not safe there because of a fork. So white's reply is forced, but black drops the ball here and may very well have had some winning chances. What would you play with black? You might want to pause the video. Okay, you're back again. I think black's best move is to take the queen. Now, white has no choice but to take the queen. And look what's happened. Uh, Black has won the exchange. He needs to save his knight now. That's easy, right? Where are you going to put it? Let's see. If you go to c6, you could drop the pawn in c5, but then you have maybe some play here against on the open file, like for instance knight takes. Yeah, see you have moves like this, and white's seems to be dropping some material back, so white can't really take the pawn, and white only has a pawn compensation for the exchange. White's winning chances are virtually non-existent because just to maintain material equality, he needs to win a pawn back, okay? And he hasn't done that yet. So what I'm saying is that if white's winning chances are virtually non-existent, what does that say about black's losing chances? Well, they're virtually non-existent. And black has the advantage that he has only has given up one pawn in compensation for the exchange. He's ahead. So theoretically, black could play this for a win. It's going to be tough. You know, they have an equal number of pieces, 3. White does have one pawn compensation, but black's the one playing for a win. White isn't. And so I don't know how long black analyzed the position, but he failed because he didn't take the enemy queen. So let me see where they were on the PGN. Instead, he just fell victim to a quick attack. Whoops, he didn't take that. He took the rook. And now here we are at move 20. Black king still isn't castled. He's caught in the center, and now he's exposed. And suddenly white has too powerful of an attack here. And certainly, black's still up the exchange, but white has the attack. And that's the big difference. White had no attack in the other line. White has an attack here. So let's see how it plays out. White's basically checking, happily checking, and where's black going to go? He could go to try g8, but rook d7 is looking pretty strong. Let's see. If rook e8, maybe white has a trick here. Let's see. You got to be careful. There's a check down on the. I'm trying to deflect the queen from protection of e6, but there could be a very annoying check here. Let's see. Yeah, well, I didn't stay there long enough. White has to get a check and his queen is loose. So let's see. I'm trying to find a win for white here if king g8. You could play bishop takes here. That looks deadly. Let's just change the move order. The queen guards the rook, so you can't take. And now the bishop is ready to check on c4 next. So if black plays his queen back any square where it protects the rook, that bishop c4 check is going to be quite deadly. So the king has to stay. He has to stay in the center, and white pretty much can pick his choice of wins here. He sets up a deadly discovered check, and black really didn't have a defense. So he tries to run the king to safety, but there is no safety. And we'll see here. Now, where does the king go? He goes to b7, which is a mistake. Then comes a knight fork, and black is going to lose his queen, so resigned. Let's see. Let's go one more move and evaluate. You got to take. That knight's been sitting there for a while. I wasn't even worried about that. There was too much action going on. But here, white has a queen for a rook advantage. That's enough. Could black have played king b6, try to get out of danger? Well, there's Rook D6, or I had said I hadn't really talked about taking that knight. What's wrong with taking the knight? Now, this check is a threat. Black can go threaten a mate of his own. Well, but then here comes Rook D6. Anyway, that's it in a nutshell. Not a perfect game, but it was highly entertaining. Could have gone back and it went back and forth. It could have had a different result than it did, but it didn't. And thanks both for playing, and thanks all of you for watching. Take care.